Friday night in Provo, Utah at Brigham Young University, and we begin a new era of sports broadcasting in 2014. The first gymnastics meet of the season here on campus. BYU hosting one of the nation's premier programs. It's the Denver Pioneers and BYU Cougars next on BYU TV Sports. Friday night inside the Smith Fieldhouse, NCAA Gymnastics live on your televisions. It's the Denver University Pioneers, ranked 18th in the country, and the BYU Cougars. Welcome, everyone, inside the Smith Fieldhouse, wherever and however you may be joining us. Thanks for making us part of your night. Alongside former BYU gymnast and really our expert tonight, Megan Donahue, I am Spencer Linton. BYU 3 meets into the season. They've had a chance to kind of assess where they are and where they want to go. So, Megan, where are they now, and what is a realistic goal for this BYU team by the end of the 2014 campaign?
So BYU started out fantastic. They had 2 great meets, and then they actually had a little stumble last week at Utah State. But really, they had some uncharacteristic falls, and I think they're going to be back on track tonight.
For the Denver Pioneers, they are led by a very talented young lady. I mentioned they're ranked 18th in the country. Her name is Mariah Martin. Watch for her to put up some incredible numbers tonight because she's been doing it all year.
Yeah, Mariah Martin, she's a senior, and she's a clear leader on this team. She actually took 16th in the all-around last year at the NCAA Championships and 2nd on vault. I think last season she actually scored a 10 on vault, so hopefully she can put up some big numbers tonight.
Leading the BYU Cougars tonight, Raquel Willman-Hatch, a lady that knows her way around the competition. Her season high right there of 38.9. What do you expect from her in this meet tonight, Megan?
So Raquel has huge potential on every event, and so really if she can just bring all those events together and have a great night on every event, she could win the all-around hands down.
See, the experts can call them by their nicknames, right?
I know,
sorry. Call her Rock.
Rock, that's what she goes by.
I like that. Our third broadcast member tonight is Lauren Frankham. Lauren, I don't have a nickname for you, but you do have some interesting information in regards to BYU and conference affiliation in the future.
Yeah, Spencer, BYU recently joined a new alliance called the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Championship. They're hoping to become a conference in June if approved by the NCAA for the 2014-2015 season. Included in this conference would be Boise State, Denver, SUU, BYU, and Utah State. Coach Cattermole told me he loves the idea of being in a conference because it helps with scheduling. They're all strong gymnastics schools, so it boosts the competition. It helps with budget because they are familiar and fairly local teams, and BYU has not been in a conference since the WAC in 1993. Spencer?
Thank you, Lauren. Tonight's meet preparation is brought to you by Emergency Essentials. For your family's food and water storage needs, for Emergency Essentials, be unprepared or beprepared.com. Megan, how does Denver get it done tonight?
Denver had a great meet last weekend. They're coming off their season high. So this week they're looking to perfect things. They really need to stick their landings, clean things up, and, hold on to those few extra tenths throughout the meet.
And for the BYU Cougars, obviously they want to perform well in front of their home fans. What are the keys for the Cougars?
So BYU needs to stay on the equipment. Like I said, last week they had a couple falls, and they just need to compete how they practice. So they look good in the gym. They need to transfer that over to the meet.
Let's take a look at the starting events. And on the bars for the University of Denver, Leah Lamont, Katie Menhinnick, Nina McGee, Rachel Feakin, Melody Pulgarin-Lanero, and Julia Ross. The Pioneers are coached by Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt in her 16th season as the Denver University head coach. Kutcher knows a thing or two about the gymnastics game. She has been there for a long time and really has brought that program some national prominence. And the BYU Cougars will start on the vault. Junior Jordan Schultz, Raquel Willman-Hatch, who profiled her, Haley Rollins, Eliane Kulchik, Mackenzie Johnson, and Casey Gassaway. BYU coached by Brad Cattermole, 26 years. Megan, you competed under Brad. What makes him a special coach for this program?
I think Brad just, he's really good about bringing girls together, and, he helps people work hard and become their best, and I think people really want to work hard under Brad.
Cattermole has guided the Cougars to 8 national championship tournament appearances and 22 NCAA regional berths. We are looking at a very early injury during warm-up. You take a look on the vault. What are you seeing here, Megan? It's Haley Rollins.
Haley, she's actually one of BYU's best girls right now. She's a senior. Looks like they're checking ACL, MCL. That would be a huge loss for the Cougars, so hopefully Haley's okay.
Tough break as the trainers are checking Haley out. You saw her shake her head kind of like, I don't know if I can go. We'll keep you updated there. And certainly a tough break early on in this meet for the BYU Cougars, looking to upset the 18th ranked Denver Pioneers. Talking about Brad Cattermole again. Guided the Cougars to 8 national championship tournament appearances, 22 NCAA regional berths. 7 gymnasts have earned 17 NCAA All-America awards. So he has coached some fantastic athletes. And in a bit of a rebuilding stage right now with this team. But I asked you earlier on, BYU not ranked right now, 31st. They want to be in the top 25. What's it going to take for them to get into that top 25?
I think they're really just kind of like I said, they need to start somewhere. They need to, forget this last weekend that they had at Utah State and start back at their second meet and just build. They really want to pump up their scores so that they can get a good RQS and get a high ranking in the, national standings.
A lot of our viewers at home are big fans of the Olympics. They watch the Olympics during those summer games. But there are some significant rule differences between college gymnastics and Olympic gymnastics. I'm not going to ask you to spit them all out because that would take a while. But as they come up, we will be discussing some of those things tonight. About to get underway, BYU has competed against Denver already once this year. In a tri-meet with Boise State and Denver, the Cougars finished third, but they did have their season high score thus far of the 3 meets, 194.675. That score would put them right around the 24th, 25th team in the country. So I think that might be a good mark for BYU tonight. There's Brad Cattermole, coach. Again, dealing with an early audible as Haley Rollins went down during warm-ups on the vault.
I think we were supposed to see Haley on 3 events tonight, vault, bars, and floor. So hopefully that will still be the case.
Casey Gassaway will start for BYU. Her season high on vault is a 9.875, also her career best. And we're underway. BYU Gymnastics live on BYU TV. Here is Casey Gassaway, the first vault of the night. Not a bad start.
Yeah, great start for the Cougars. So we actually haven't seen a whole lot of Casey, even though she's a junior. She's had quite a few injuries in her time here, but she really does have some great routines to offer on vaults and bars. So you're seeing her doing a round-off entry vault. She does a Yurchenko full, little step on the landing, but good start.
How much of a deduction will she take for that little step?
She'll probably take a 10th. So generally they'll take a 10th for each step.
Now to the uneven bars, Leah Lamont for the University of Denver.
So a few things that the judges are going to be looking for here are, of course, landings, and they're going to look for that on every event. But particularly on bars, they want to see these girls get completely vertical on their handstands. So as the season goes on, that's something that teams are really focusing on.
And Lamont with a decent opening routine for Denver. Freshman out of Katy, Texas. Taking a look at the dismount.
So she does a double front tuck, which is very difficult to stick because it is a blind landing. She cannot see the ground as she's coming down.
Jordan Schultz will be on vault for BYU.
That actually looks like Madeline Nilsson.
That is Maddie Nilsson.
Looks like they had a little last-minute lineup change because Haley's
Perhaps
out.
because Haley, that's right. So they are switching things up. We apologize for that. Maddie Nilsson was going to be an exhibition on vault. She will now, it looks like, compete.
So Maddie actually tore her ACL last year, I believe, on this event. So it's great to see her back and competing.
Season high of 9.8, also a career best for her of that mark.
So Maddie will also compete a Yurchenko vault, which is a round-off entry. They do a round-off onto the board, back handspring onto the horse, and then a layout full off. And That's actually the most common vault that you will see. Starts from a 10.0, and, you know, it's not a blind landing. They can see the ground when they're coming down, so you'll see a lot of girls do that vault tonight.
Let's go to Lauren Frankham quickly for an injury update on Haley Rollins. Lauren?
Yeah, BYU's trainer told me that she did tweak her knee. She will not be competing on the vault, but she is going to compete on the other 2 events, and they're just going to take it event per event and see how she feels, but she will be competing as of now. Spencer?
Thanks, Lauren. So certainly a bit of a break. You hate to see any athlete go out on any given event, but the fact that she can compete in 2 events will be big for BYU. Maddie Nilsson awaiting her start on the vault.
That's always a little nerve-wracking, you know. You're pumped, you're ready, and then you kind of start pacing there.
Yeah, let's get this thing underway. Here is Nilsson.
Yurchenko layout full. An excellent job for the Cougars. I think Brad will be pretty happy for that, you know, last minute stepping in and doing what she needs to do.
You saw the score pop up from Casey Gassaway as Maddie was taking her run, 9.725. Leah Lamont scores a 9.75 on bars for Denver.
So their lineups are set up so that their scores progressively, you know, get higher as they go out.
Rachel Feakin, nice release early on.
So great lines. You'll notice she keeps her body extended. Just her dismount. Double layout, and she has a little hop on the landing. They'll take a slight deduction there, but other than that, good routine.
Look at the dismount again, and you mentioned the great lines, but how difficult of a routine is that?
Well, I mean, all these routines start out of a 10. So, I mean, all the girls are doing routines that have enough bonus and combinations and difficulty to start them out of a 10.0.
Well, that answers my question.
Yeah, and you have to start out of a 10.0 on all your routines if you want to be a competitive team in the NCAA.
Solid routine from Denver right there by Rachel Feakin. We await her score. And now Jordan Schultz will go for BYU. Maddie Nilsson takes a 9.8 on vault. That ties her season and career best. A good start for Maddie.
So a few other things to look for on vault is you want to see the girls get high off that table and get some distance from the table, you know, good amplitude. Also, you want to see them come back down to their landing with a laid out position.
Rachel Feakin scoring a 9.825. That is a new career best for her, so the Pioneers off to a very good start in Provo, Utah. On vault for BYU. Jordan Schultz.
So that was a Yurchenko layout half. 1/2 twist less than the 2 vaults we saw before. She has a nice laid out position in the air, but they are going to get her on those steps there out of it. Takes a couple little baby steps and then a hop. And
the blind landing is particularly difficult.
it is, and it's really just muscle memory, you know, doing it over and over and over, you know, and good air awareness.
Very early in the meet between 18th ranked Denver and BYU. You're watching live on BYU TV Sports, the first gymnastics meet that BYU has hosted all year. Melody Pulgarin-Lanero now on the uneven bars for Denver.
Denver's off to a good start. 2 solid routines. And we're going to see 6 girls on each event tonight. However, they only have to count 5 scores. So far, so good. Double A dismount. Tiny little bobble there, but again, another good routine.
Solid from Pulgarin-Lanero. Very solid for Denver right there. You mentioned 3 routines on the uneven bars, and I don't think they could have asked for a much better start.
So even though they get to drop 1 score, they still want to have all 6 of their competitors hit. You know, like I mentioned, they want the scores to build throughout their lineup, so they don't really want to break that momentum.
There's one of the leaders for BYU, Raquel Willman-Hatch. Her first vault.
Another good vault. I mean, pretty big step there. You can see BYU has a little bit of work to do on their landings, but so far so good.
Willman-Hatch.
A little bit too much power there.
Pretty good body control throughout the vault, but again, the big step. And back to the uneven bars for Denver. Julia Ross.
So landings become really important as you go through the season because every single 10th counts.
This is a sport of very intricate details.
It is.
And well, I mean, you see it on every event, but particularly when I watch the beam, which we'll see in just a little bit, it's 4 inches, and it's every bit as hard as it looks. Speaking from very, very limited experience on a balance beam.
So all the girls will have a major release move, and there's hers right there, Ginger. And then they will also have a bar change, pack salto. Both of those things are requirements in a bar routine.
Raquel Willman-Hatch scoring a 9.825 on her first vault. Here's Julia Ross with her dismount.
Another double A, and trying to hold on to that landing, but a little bit of movement there. Here's a look at her major release. She does a combination blind full into a Ginger. A little bit of leg separation there, but good distance from the bar. There's that landing.
How early in their lives and careers do they begin to attempt those difficult routines? You have to start when you're 8, 7. When does that begin to dismount?
Well, you always have a dismount, you know.
The flip
if you get on, you got to get off. So. But generally around level 8.
Solid vault from BYU and Eliane Kulchik.
Eliane is a great vaulter, and you'll notice her beautiful line, and she gets great amplitude off the horse.
Easily the best landing of the night so far for BYU.
Yeah, I had a little time to spot the landing, and awesome. Should be a good score for Eliane.
Now Mariah Martin, the star for the University of Denver. The numbers speak volumes.
Wow, she barely held on to that handstand there. She is a very good vaulter, but bars is not far off from her vault. Very solid on this event. And a stuck landing, first one we've seen tonight.
Mariah Martin continues the impressive performance from Denver on the uneven bars. The first stuck landing.
She does a double back with a full twist.
Mackenzie Johnson now involved for BYU.
Another great vault. It's great to see the Cougars holding on even without Haley. Here's another girl that gets really high and great lines in the air. And she holds that layout position all the way to the very end. Excellent job.
There is the score for Eliane Kulchik, a 9.875 on the vault. That ties a career best for her. Nina McGee now on the uneven bars for Denver. Mariah Martin had a stuck landing. We await her score. She was named the Gymnast of the Week in the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Championship, earning the highest all-around score with a 39.325 amidst those 5 teams in the alliance. Tonight's... And there's the score from Mariah Martin, 9.875 on the uneven bars. She now watches her teammate Nina McGee.
And Nina McGee is another powerhouse on this Denver team. She brings in some good scores for the Pioneers. Looking to have another stuck landing here. She does 2 giants into a double lay. She makes that look really easy.
Take a look at the dismount here. All smiles from Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt, the coach of Denver, after that. Now we have an exhibition coming up on the uneven bars, and Megan, break down what happens. This doesn't count for the scores, but what is the purpose and point of doing something like this in a meet here?
Right, so their top 6 competed. They only count their top 5 scores. But then they have, a lot of these girls will train all these events. They just may not compete. They might be right outside the lineup in the 7th, 8th position. So going an exhibition is just a good way for them to gain experience, feel comfortable, harnessing that adrenaline and really, just gaining some experience so that if the team needs them to compete, they're ready.
We saw why that was beneficial early on for BYU in the vault. Haley Rollins going down during warm-up.
Exactly.
Nina McGee scoring a 9.875 on the bars, so very good start for Denver. Tonight's score bug is brought to you by Brady Industries. Brady Industries has been a provider of commercial cleaning supplies and equipment throughout the western United States for over 65 years. Brady Industries, clean solutions, a tradition for generations. Denver has gone to 15 consecutive NCAA regionals. This is a program, a lot of national clout, looking to take it to the next level. It's a very fine line between the top 10 teams in the country and 11 to 20.
Yeah, college gymnastics for women has gotten extremely competitive. I mean, the top 35, 40 programs are, really good teams with a lot of great gymnasts. So to make it to the regionals and to the nationals, it's a great honor.
Exhibition routine finishes for Denver. Katie Manick.
Exhibition for Denver on bars. That concludes the first rotation, gymnasts.
So that was a solid routine for the exhibitionist.
Denver will go to the ball. BYU to the bars.
A little bit of a forward step there. She did a laid out full in. That's a very difficult dismount.
Brad Cattermole watching his team. There's Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt. We are through one event in the opening home meet for the BYU Cougars as they host the 18th ranked Denver Pioneers. Glad to have you with us live on BYU TV. We'll take a break. BYU Gymnastics on BYU TV is brought to you by Les Olson Company, your business empowered. Brady Industries, clean solutions, a tradition for generations. DexterLaw.com for help when you need it most. And by Bodyguards, the ultimate device protection. BYU Gymnastics on BYU TV is brought to you by Emergency Essentials. Be unprepared or beprepared.com. BYU alumni connected for good. Larry H. Miller, driven by you. Deseret First Credit Union, sharing your values. And by Siegfried and Jensen. Tonight's BYU Sports Report is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen. Megan, it's your favorite part. Time to have some fun with numbers. Calculating the regional qualifying score, RQS, those 3 letters are huge in college gymnastics.
Yes, they are. RQS is going to give BYU their national ranking. So this is how they calculate it. They take their top 6 meet scores. 3 of them have to be away meets. They drop the high and then average the remaining 5. So they want their RQS to put them in the top 36 in the nation, and that will qualify them for regionals.
It's that simple.
Simple as simple.
Tonight's meet summary is presented by Deseret First Credit Union. Deseret First Credit Union shares your values. Proud sponsor of BYU Athletics. On the uneven bars, the Denver Pioneers come in with a 49.3. How would you rate that start for Denver?
That's a great start. They got to drop a 9.75, which is really good. And a 49 per event puts them in line for a 196 all-around score.
BYU with a solid opening effort on vault as well. They come in with a combined 49.1. They will drop a 9.725.
I think that's fantastic. I think that may be their highest vault score for the year. Again, dropping a 9.725, and hopefully they can keep up these 49s and hit a 140 or 196 tonight.
Is that kind of the standard that you want to hit for any gymnastics team in the NCAA competition? 196, is that where the standard is?
Not necessarily. For example, Utah got a 197.3, I believe, last weekend. So the top 5 teams, they're bringing in huge scores in the 197s.
BYU on the uneven bars, warming up. We'll take a look at the vault lineup for Denver. Pioneers with 49.3 after one event. Nina McGee will start it off, followed by Leah Lamont, Julia Ross, Melody Pulgarin-Lanero. Caitlin Moorhead stepping in for her first event, and Mariah Martin is the anchor. BYU on the uneven bars, led by Megan Bain-Tidwell. To start, Emily Vidmar, Casey Gassaway, Eliane Kulchik, who had a very solid vault. Raquel Woman-Hatch and Haley Rollins will anchor the uneven bars for BYU.
So I actually just saw Haley Rollins being carried off, so looks like they might be replacing her at the back end of the bar lineup.
You can see the frustration and disappointment on Haley's face.
Looks
Haley
like
has some
she
trouble on the vault, but now on the dismount here.
maybe thought she was okay, but
First up for the Pioneers, Nina McGee.
Brad Cattermole walking over to talk with Haley.
so again, this is where an exhibition, comes in handy. Somebody's been exhibitioning for the first few meets of the season, and now they're ready to go.
Megan Bain-Tidwell to start things off for BYU. We're live in the Smithfield House. Nina McGee there for Denver University. The Pioneers' first vault.
Wow, that was a Sukahara layout full, a vault we have not seen tonight, and very difficult. You got to be very powerful to do this vault. I haven't seen too many girls do it. So she does like a round off or a half onto the horse and then a layout full.
Now Bain-Tidwell on the uneven bars.
Starts right off with her major release at Tkachev. Looking very good, hitting all those handstands so far. Just her dismount, blind full into double tuck. And just a tiny little hop, but that was a great routine.
Megan Bain-Tidwell bringing it early on the uneven bars for BYU.
So she does a combination. Blind full, double tuck. She looks pretty happy about that. Excellent start.
Back to Denver on the vault. Leah Lamont, season high and career high of 9.7. And just a little step there.
Another unique vault we don't see too often. She does a round off onto the board, but then a full twist onto the horse and a pike off. Happens so fast. See right here. Round off, full on, and a pike off. Another vault that starts from a 10.0.
Nina McGee pulls in a 9.775 for Denver. Lamont just finished her vault, hoping to best her 9.7. That is a career best. Your first look at Emily Vidmar tonight.
So Emily is someone we did not see too often last year, but she's worked her way into a couple of the lineups, so very impressive, and she looks fantastic.
Emily just a sophomore.
Good handstand, blindfolded double tuck, and great landing.
Nice applause for Emily Vidmar. Megan Bain-Tidwell taking a 9.825 on the uneven bars.
She finishes that pirouette on top of the bar and has time to spot the landing.
Some folks in San Clemente, California watching Emily that are very happy right now with that performance.
Emily's parents actually were both gymnasts at UCLA, and her dad actually competed in the 1984 Olympics, and I believe he won the gold medal.
That's some serious pedigree right there.
Yeah.
My dad's better than your dad. He won a gold medal. Okay, you win. Let's check in with Lauren Frankham.
Yeah, I talked to assistant coach Dawn Cattermole after the vault, and she said how pleased she was with her team. She said she wouldn't change a thing. She was especially pleased with Casey Gassaway, who stepped in for Haley Rollins. She said she's been ready to have a chance to prove herself, and she did that today. Spencer.
Thank you, Lauren. Haley Rollins, of course, tweaking her knee during warm-ups on the vault. Thought she could go on the uneven bars, and during warm-ups on the uneven bars, retweaked the knee. She is now being attended to on the trainer's table.
It looks like Casey Gassaway may take Haley's position again on the bars. Guess we'll have to wait to see.
While they sort that out, thus far tonight, what has been your favorite vault or uneven bars performance from BYU, Megan?
You know, I have to say I'm pretty impressed with Casey. That's kind of a, you know, nerve-wracking when someone goes down and they say, hey, you're up. So I'm pretty impressed with her performance, and I'm looking forward to see her again here on the bars.
When you get thrown into that, can you kind of avoid the nervousness of it all when you don't have to think about it? Could that be an advantage in a way?
Yeah, I could. You know, you don't even have time to worry about it. You just go.
It's kind of like you in broadcast, right? Show up, don't think about it, ready to go.
Exactly.
Leah Lamont with a 9.725, an adjusted score.
Looks like the judges needed some extra time to deliberate on that last performance.
Julia Ross with a couple of steps on her vault. Everyone has a unique approach on the vault. How long does it take to perfect the steps on the way down to the vault?
I'd say that depends on the gymnast. But really, you know, by the time you're doing this kind of a vault, you've been doing it for so long that your steps, you know, they just come natural.
Mackenzie Johnson now back to BYU on the uneven bars.
Another blindfold double tuck and a step landing.
Two solid uneven bars routines for BYU.
She made sure to show the judges that she was not moving on that landing. Another pirouette move. Didn't quite finish the pirouette on top, but has time to spot that landing.
High fives all around for Mackenzie Johnson. Melody Pulgarin-Lanero very capable on the vault. One of the Pioneers' best.
Another round-off entry. Layout full. Had a little bit of a hop there. Looks like her feet were just a little bit too far behind her when she landed. Couldn't avoid the bounce there, but great line. She holds that laid out position all the way down.
Julia Ross scoring a 9.8 for Denver.
Elion is fantastic on this event. I love watching her. She's just so clean and precise, and a huge release move right there, Ginger. She just powers through this. Just her dismount, see if she can get the stick. Double lay, fantastic.
Elion Kulchik.
You can see how high she gets on this release. Completely above the bar, and she is completely extended when she reaches out for that bar.
And now the dismount. Thing of beauty right here.
Makes it look so easy.
Yes, and it's just not. If you're just joining us, you're watching NCAA Gymnastics on BYU TV. We are live from the Smith Fieldhouse on the campus of Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. Alongside former BYU gymnast Megan Donahue, I am Spencer Linton. Denver and BYU going head-to-head. And the Pioneers on the vault.
That was another Yurchenko layout full. She didn't quite get a lot of distance between her and the vault on this. You can see a lot of her flipping and twisting happens above the horse.
Caitlin Moorhead for Denver. Her teammate Melody Pulgarin-Lanero taking a 9.775 on her vault.
I think the Pioneers' vault scores are a little lower than they would like to see or have seen so far this season, but you know, they haven't had any falls and they're pushing through here.
Denver 19th in the country on the vault per average score. BYU 34.
So here's Raquel. She's BYU's only all-arounder tonight. Just finishing up. Double layout and another stick. So that right there is fantastic for BYU. They've had their 5 girls go. They know they have 5 solid scores that they can count toward their team bar score. And Casey, you know, she can just get up there and, you know, use this as some experience.
Nice response from her BYU teammates. By the way, Elion Kulchik with a new career best on the uneven bars with a 9.85.
So here's Mariah, who did score a 10.0 on this event. Wow.
Wow is right.
You can just see how high she gets off that horse, and she's just completely laid out.
Take a look at Mariah Martin, powerhouse gymnast for the Pioneers, Mountain Rim Gymnastics Championship Gymnast of the Week.
You can see she's looking for the ground. I mean, halfway through her twist, she's got plenty of time to see the landing coming.
Raquel Willman Hatch scores a 9.95 on the uneven bars.
Wow. BYU is off to a great start, and they're really running with this momentum.
That blows her previous best of 9.875 really out of the water. Saw some pretty ecstatic hugs there.
Wow.
And a tough landing. Brad Cattermole pumps his fist in the air after that. Good finish for BYU.
So this dismount right here is where we have seen Casey struggle before, and she has no problem finishing that rotation, even a little over-rotated there. I'm sure Brad is just ecstatic about how they're performing so far.
Katie Meninick on the vault for Denver. And a stick, just a little bit of a step there.
I'm surprised she didn't salute a little faster. Some of the girls, you know, they land and they hurry and try and get their salute
out there before
there.
you take the step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But still, another good vault for Denver.
Interesting to see the scores after this second event for this rotation. BYU, a great performance after the uneven bars. Lauren Frankham now with a very happy Brad Cattermole.
Coach, really solid performances so far. I don't even know if I have to ask, but what did you think of your team's performance thus far?
We're very pleased. I mean, this meet, we kind of looked more like we do in practice. They just got up and did well. Haley, we don't know what exactly happened with her. She's got an owie of some sort, but the others came in and stepped up and did what they had to do. I mean, we were very proud of them.
Had a little trouble in the last meet, but you come home, really solid performances. How much does that have to do with them being here on their home court?
I mean, it's always fun to come home. They've been on the road for 3 weeks, and coming home is always fun. But this is how they do in practice every day. So you just got to learn to take practice to the meet, and that's what we've done so far.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
It goes back to your game preparation, Megan, where you said, compete how you practice. I know it sounds simple, but it's one thing to do it when no one's around, but you get fans in here, you get judges looking on, the nerves start to kind of creep up. BYU delivering on the uneven bars right there. We'll be back with updated scores and more from the first BYU home gymnastics meet. You're watching live on BYU TV. Keep it here. BYU Gymnastics on BYU TV is brought to you by Les Olson Company, your business empowered. Brady Industries, clean solutions, a tradition for generations. DexterLaw.com for help when you need it most. And by Bodyguards, the ultimate device protection. Welcome to the Mid-Meet Report presented by Bodyguards, a full line of products at bodyguards.com with screen protection, cases, and covers for all your mobile devices. Bodyguards, the ultimate device protection. There you see the scores on the vault for Denver, their second event, 49.075. So BYU winning that event head-to-head by just a hair, by 0.025. The Cougars on the uneven bars with a 49.325. They drop a 9.8.
That is fantastic. I mean, that's blowing their best bar score of the season out of the water, and vault and bars. So they are doing fantastic.
After two rotations, BYU with a slim margin over Denver, 98.425. The Pioneers at 98.375. BYU on pace for what would easily be a season best.
Yes, if they can just hold on and, keep going with this momentum, this is like a team, you'd never guess that this is the same team that was competing at Utah State last weekend.
Cougars had some uncharacteristic falls up in Logan against the Aggies. Denver now moves to the floor. Maggie Laughlin will start it off. Katie Meninick, Alessa Kai-Hart, Jory Hall, Caitlin Moorhead, and Nina McGee rounds out the floor lineup for the Pioneers. BYU going to the balance beam. Mackenzie Johnson to start it off. Ashley Follett, Emily Vidmar, Megan Bain-Tidwell. Summer Raymond will make her first appearance tonight in an event, and Raquel Willman-Hatch rounding things out. If you're just joining us, BYU holding a slight edge over the 18th ranked Pioneers after two rotations and an incredible uneven bars performance. I have a question for all of you. You want to see the Cougars in action at the 2014 West Coast Conference basketball tournament? I'm guessing your answer is yes. You can join Coach Dave Rose, Coach Jeff Judkins, and the rest of the team in Las Vegas and journey to the tourney. Enter for your chance to win airfare, hotel, and tickets to select games this March. Visit facebook.com/BYU TV Sports and register today. You gonna sign up, Megan?
Definitely.
If you already haven't.
I haven't, so I'll be there.
You need to get on that. I'm being told by my producer that you can't win. So.
So you'll notice that BYU has not competed any freshmen so far in this meet, which is a great thing for them because everybody's coming in with competition experience and, you know, a lot more confidence.
BYU on the beam. Surface area is 4 inches across, correct?
Correct. So this is BYU's third event, and since they are the home team, they get to go in Olympic order, which is vault, bars, beam, and then floor.
You have to do certain things when you're on the beam. What elements are involved?
So there's quite a few elements on the beam that are required in order to start out of a 10.0. You have to have, that was an acro series right there, so an acro combined with a leap. You have to have a leap series, which is 2 leaps at least. You have to have a flight series or acro series, which is, of course, a couple acros connected. Of course, mount, dismount, turn.
Mackenzie Johnson with a big smile after that routine.
I don't know if I even saw her wobble there. Round off 1.5 twist dismount. Another blind landing, but you'll see a lot of sticks off of the beam.
Now the Denver Pioneers, their first competitor on the floor. So we begin a new rotation. Maggie Laughlin.
So beam and floor is where you see a little bit more of the artistic elements of gymnastics. You know, they're doing more dance, and some of the girls even make up their own dance. Floor, they do to music.
Maggie Laughlin of Denver.
So most all of the girls tonight will be doing 3 tumbling passes. They have to do some back tumbling and some front tumbling. Double pike. So they are allowed to take a step out of that pass without deduction, unlike, say, a dismount on bars. And she did do her first pass onto a 4-inch mat, which is allowed. You'll notice that they taped on the boundary lines so that if she does go out, the judges will know. 1.5 punch front layout. That front layout will fulfill her front tumbling requirement. Another random requirement on beam and floor is that they do have to go down on the floor like this. So you'll see all the gymnasts go down on beam and floor. Usually they do that with dance. A little bit of a breather before her last pass there. Even though these routines are about 1:30, it's still very tiring.
Maggie Laughlin of Denver. Take a look at the second pass from Laughlin.
1.5 twist, punch front layout. She is allowed to step out of that, but a lot of gymnasts, you know, like to stick it solid. I think it looks, you know, better, gives it a crisp look.
Ashley Follett on the beam now.
So Ashley is this is her second year at BYU, but she did transfer from Utah State. She started off with a punch front mount, which is not something you will see many gymnasts do. It's kind of risky to start your routine with a skill like that, but no problem for her. The full turn, that is another requirement. You'll see all the gymnasts do a turn of some sort. Solid flick lay there, back handspring, back layout. That is her flight series. Wow, and they are just on a roll tonight. That was a pike gainer, stuck dismount.
And watch the mount.
See, a little bit off to the side, but you know, these guys do so many numbers in the gym that they know how to recover from something like that.
Next up on the floor for the Pioneers, Katie Meninick.
Katie Meninick now. She will start her routine on the floor.
So opening pass is a double pike. A little bit of over rotation there, but she holds on to it. So that right there was her leap series. And she will actually get bonus for combining leaps, depending on the difficulty. So the gymnasts need to earn 5/10 bonus in order for their routine to start out of a 10.
As a gymnast, how much do you feed off the crowd and the music during a routine like this?
I think it really depends on the girls. You'll notice some girls, they just love it. You know, they're totally into the performance and they love the crowd and they're smiling the whole time. Others, not as much, but definitely more so than you do at practice. You know, it's nice to perform for an audience.
Score in for Ashley Follett. She scores a 9.8 on the beam.
Yeah, she only had that one little wobble on her full turn, so a solid start. So she finishes with a double tuck.
Katie Meninick on the floor.
Meninick. Final pass right here.
This is a difficult last pass when you're really tired. 2 flips.
Next competitor on beam.
Totally controlled. That was a good routine.
For BYU on the beam now, Emily Vidmar.
This is our second time seeing Emily tonight. We saw her on bars. So she does a front aerial and she has a little bobble there. Not sure if that was supposed to be connected, but she just keeps going. So again, I am very impressed with Emily. She has really worked hard to get into these lineups, especially with the tight lineups that BYU has right now.
Katie Meninick with a new best on the floor, 9.825. Vidmar, you mentioned her clutch performance thus far. Very solid on the uneven bars. Now looking to keep things rolling for BYU. The Cougars easily having their best meet of the year after 2 rotations.
So I think just the dismount left. This is the gainer, tuck full. Awesome dismount, stuck landing there. That's a dismount you don't see too often. You'll see more pike gainers, but the tuck full is kind of unique. There's her front aerial. Has a tiny little bobble there, but she covers it up and keeps going.
Next competitor on floor for
I'm just so impressed with BYU so far. They look amazing.
This season, the Cougars' best team score, 194.675. They finished 3rd in that meet with Boise State and Denver, so they've seen the Pioneers once before this year. Now head-to-head here in the Smith Fieldhouse.
2.5 twist for an opening pass. That's another blind landing there, but didn't see any problems. BYU will be facing Denver again at the end of the season for their, I guess, championship meet.
Emily Vidbar scores a 9.8 on beam for BYU. You're watching Jory Hall now for Denver on the floor.
There's a little glimpse of all her teammates who I'm sure know her routine by heart. She ends with a whip half, one and a half. A little bit low on that landing. She will get a deduction for that. Judges want to see her landing upright.
Jory Hall on the floor for Denver. A little short on the landing. What does that mean, Megan?
So if you watch her right here, she wants to land in an upright position, but she didn't quite get high enough. She has to really bend her legs to stay on her feet there.
Megan Bain-Tidwell now taking the beam for BYU.
BYU's happy to have her back after she tore her Achilles.
And a fall.
So that's BYU's first fall for the night. And again, they will have 6 girls compete on beam, and they get to drop 1 score. So as long as the remaining competitors hit their routines, they will not have to count that fall. She will get 5/10 deduction for that fall.
Tidwell hanging on right there.
So yeah, when every 10th counts, you know, having to count a fall, which is 5/10, or, you know, half a point, that's a big hit on your team score.
How do you recover mentally after an early mistake like that on the balance beam?
I think it's just something you have to train yourself to do in practice, you know. Have to focus on the present and forget about all that. Same thing moving from event to event. You know, you struggle on one, you have to start over and go to the next one fresh. Just her dismount. Round off 1.5. So some struggles up front, but finished out the routine okay. So she was just a little off to the side and couldn't quite hold on to that front tuck mount. And get a closer look at her feet. She just got that one foot that's off to the side, and here's her flight series. That'll be another big deduction for Megan, but it's good to see her fighting to stay on the beam, even after she has a fall.
A little bit of a disappointing performance there for Megan Bain-Tidwell on the balance beam. But she did come off a 9.95 on the uneven bars, a new career mark for her. Correction on the last floor routine for the Denver Pioneers. We were watching Hart. Now we're watching Jory Hall for the Pioneers. Apologize for that mistake.
Opens with a big double pike. These girls have so much power. I mean, they make it look so easy, but it really is something that is quite difficult.
Jory Hall, one of 5 seniors on this Denver squad.
So great amplitude on those leaps there. The judges want to see full splits, so their legs are, 180 degrees, and then they want to see stuck landing and good height. Ooh, 1.5 punch front layout. Her feet were a little bit in front of her, so she kind of slid and had to step back to catch that, but good save. Coaches always want to see the girls fighting as opposed to, just sitting down on their butt. Maybe she took 2 10s for that, but that's better than the 5 she would have had she fallen down.
Nice pass right there from Hall. Megan Bain-Tidwell taking an 8.875 on her beam routine. Second pass here.
So she does a 1.5, and her feet are really far in front of her when she lands that front layout, and she kind of slides. But again, good save. Double tuck, last pass, a little bit low on that landing. Chest was down.
Summer Raymond on the balance beam for BYU. Lauren Frankham watching very closely.
Yeah, Coach Cattermole told me that the beam is the hardest event. He said you can do really well on all the other events, but nothing's over until you do the beam. He said it's the most mental and head casey, in his words, event. And ironically, both Denver and BYU are ranked the highest nationally on the beam. Spencer?
Took the words right out of my mouth, Lauren. BYU 28th, it is their strongest event, and Denver, this is where they can make up some serious ground on BYU, 13th in the country.
Yeah, so beam, you have all of this adrenaline and all these nerves, and then you have to get up there and, keep pace and do what you normally do, but it is very difficult. But again, I think you conquer that by doing a lot of repetition. So excellent beam routine for Summer. That's exactly what Shauna wanted to see after Megan fell on the earlier routine. Here's a look at her leaps. She does a switch leap, split full. Great full split there. So side aerial, back layout full.
Nice beam routine from Summer Raymond. And there's the sign. Well, those are some good teammates. They bring their own signs even.
So the last floor competitor got a 9.6, which I'm sure they are hoping to drop that score.
9.6 from Jory Hart.
9.6 will be difficult to get a 49.
Caitlin Moorhead with her first pass on the floor for Denver. Just over 1,300 watching this in person in the Smithfield House in Provo, Utah. The rest of you at home, I'm glad to have you with us live on BYU TV. The first gymnastics broadcast for us of the year and the first home meet for BYU.
So we saw her do a double pike for her opening pass. A lot of the, teams in the top 25 are, teams that just want to be competitive. Even though they might not need these more difficult passes, they try and get multiple double backs into their routine. It just makes them look that much better and kind of, impresses the judges.
The score in for Summer Raymond, a 9.9 on the beam.
Wow, that is fantastic. BYU just needs these last girls to stay on the beam. Another double back, this time a double tuck. Good routine for Denver. Again, not wanting to count that 9.6.
Caitlin Moorhead delivering a solid performance. Another of those seniors on Denver's team. Out of Palo Alto, California. That's an impressive pass right there.
Her second double back here.
Make some noise.
Plenty of height, controlled landing.
Raquel Woman-Hatch on the beam for BYU after a 9.9 career best from Summer Raymond.
One thing I love about Raquel is that even when she was a freshman, she gets up there and she looks so calm. It's hard to do when you're on the beam. So we saw her triple flight series. She does back handspring layout. Again, another one of those things that's not required. You know, you can just do the back handspring back layout, but taking a little extra risk there.
You hear a lot of yelling from the teammates. Do you zone that out when you're on the beam?
Yes, absolutely. And Shauna, the beam coach, she'll actually prepare the girls and she'll play this really loud music with lots of random noises, you know, babies crying, bells, who knows what, so.
Whatever it takes.
Exactly. Awesome. She had a little bobble on that front handspring there and a tiny hop on the dismount, but like I mentioned, these girls just need to stay on and keep their composure. Back handspring layout, no problems. And here's her gainer layout full.
BYU continuing to impress in their first home meet. Mariah Martin, always the threat to win the all-around.
And she is just so powerful. Like we saw in vault, she just gets great amplitude. She opens with a huge double pike, has a little bit too much power there, kind of bounces out. Here's her second pass, 1.5, punch front half into a split jump front tuck. That's actually become a little bit more common, seeing leaps out of their tumbling passes or maybe a front tuck. Kind of helps on those difficult landings, you know, they don't have to stick that double back, they can do something out of it. Give them a little time to gain control. You can see her team enjoying her routine and doing the dance moves with her. So heading into her final pass, she will do a double tuck. Chest was a little bit down there.
Mariah Martin, senior from Lake Mary, Florida, product of Ace Gymnastics there.
1.5, do a half. Leap into front tuck. Again, very difficult at the end of a routine. A little bit short there, but should bring in a decent score for the Pioneers.
This is the exhibition for BYU on the balance beam.
So I believe this is our first time ever seeing Maddie on the beam. Ooh, that was her flight series. She does the back hamstring back layout, and she was off to the side there and couldn't hold on to it. But again, because she's an exhibition, her score does not count toward the team score. It's always great to see athletes come back from injuries. She's recovering from a ACL injury.
How common is the ACL injury in gymnastics?
Oh, I don't know the stats on it, but in my time at BYU, I probably saw 4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah. Finishing up with a round off 1.5. No problem on that landing.
So Maddie in her exhibition falls twice, but as Megan just mentioned, it will not count because of the exhibition.
There's her flight series right there. Backhand spring back layout. Blind landing, but it doesn't matter. Stuck it anyway.
Team scores after 3 rotations. We've got a close time.
We are through 3 rotations, and the BYU Cougars rolling in front of their home fans in the Smith Fieldhouse. They led the 18th ranked Denver Pioneers after 2 rotations and are hoping to remain in the lead as we head to the final event. Lauren Franken, what do you have for us?
Coach, you mentioned there are no superstars on your team, and I can tell that now. Very consistent performances. What are your thoughts so far?
I think they're doing a really nice job. We've had to make some substitutions, and so I think they're doing a really good job blocking out the distracting factors, allowing us to substitute some people in and out of some different events, but I'm really pleased with how they're keeping their composure and their competitiveness.
How is it to come into a venue like this where the crowd is really loud? How is that for your team?
Well, this is a great place to compete. They're great fans. I really appreciate how they love the sport of gymnastics. We take that any day of the week, and we can use this to continue to get ready for postseason.
You're headed to the beam next, quite possibly the hardest event. How confident are you in your team?
Well, really, beam is our best event, so it's going to be whether they can handle the pressure of finishing on beam at the last event, and we'll just be taking it one person at a time.
Thanks, Coach.
Head coach of the Denver Pioneers, Melissa Kusher-Reinhardt. Her team has some work to do, some ground to make up. We head to the final rotation. You're watching NCAA Gymnastics live on BYU TV. BYU Gymnastics on BYU TV is brought to you by Emergency Essentials. Be unprepared or beprepared.com. BYU alumni connected for good. Larry H. Miller, driven by you. Deseret First Credit Union, sharing your values. And by Siegfried and Jensen. Tonight's meet summary is presented by Deseret First Credit Union. Deseret First Credit Union shares your values. Proud sponsor of BYU Athletics. On the floor for Denver, they drop a 9-6 from Jory Hall. They end with a 48.95 overall. Their second best event as a team this year.
Just under that 49 mark, but they could make up the difference here on beam. As we heard from the coach, beam is their best event, so can they handle the pressure?
BYU, Megan Bain-Tidwell will drop her 8.875 after she had a fall. Doesn't really matter. BYU over the 49 mark. A really solid performance from the Cougars on the balance beam.
Really, I'm just blown away. I mean, beam is the hardest event to compete, and they had a fall in the middle of their lineup, but it didn't matter. Summer came up right after Megan fell, gets her career high 9.9, and they pull out another 49.
The Cougars leading by 0.15 as we enter the final rotation. Floor starters for the Cougars.
We also did a little math over here, and Raquel Willman is trailing Mariah Martin by 1/4 of a tenth headed into this last rotation. So that is, I mean, that's not even a step back, or it's like the babiest of bobbles on beam, 1/4 of a tenth.
Willman Hatch will round out the floor routines for BYU. Jordan Scholl, Casey Gassaway, Megan Bain-Tidwell, Mackenzie Johnson, and Eliane Kulchik are before Raquel Willman Hatch. Again, as Megan just told our analyst, Megan Donahue, is right in the mix for an all-around title here tonight. The beam lineup for Denver. It is their best event, as we've heard mentioned a couple of times. They're ranked 13th in the country per average score. Alessa Kai-Hart Leah Lamont, Mariah Martin will go third. Jory Hall, Julia Ross, and Nina McGee, the final competitor on the balance beam for Denver. And here is Alessa Kai-Hart, a career best 9.85, has not recorded a mark this season.
So it is so important that the Pioneers, they just stay focused on what they're doing, and you know, they can't think about how close the meet is or what scores they need to bring in. They just need to do what they do and keep pushing forward. Switch leap into gainer layout. That will fulfill her leap acro combination.
Side step right there for Alessa Kai-Hart.
Round off double twist for a dismount.
First up for the Cougars on the floor. Time to put your
Her
hands
flight
together.
series, back handspring back layout, landing with 2 feet instead of the walkout we've seen by most of the girls previously. And a round off double twist. First one of those we've seen tonight.
Opening things on the floor for BYU.
So this is where losing Haley Rollins may affect them. Haley is actually the floor anchor, but it looks like they've pushed the lineup back and replaced her with Jordan Schultz right here. And like we mentioned, BYU struggled on floor. They had 3 back-to-back-to-back falls, and I think on pretty simple skills. Jordan looking great so far. Second pass is a Rudy or a 1.5 twist.
Because of those back-to-back-to-back falls against Utah State, BYU 47th in the country on the floor. So like you said, easily the event that they have struggled the most with this year.
Yeah, and they just really want to build their team score so they can drop that 192 eventually, so they do not have to calculate that in their RQS. So that may hurt them for a little while until they're, you know, have 7 or 8 meets under their belt.
Alessa Kai-Hart with a 9.8 to open the beam. Rotation for Denver.
Last
Watching Jordan
pass.
Schultz.
1.5, punch front half. And again, an exhibition Cougar coming through and, you know, stepping in when they need it most.
Let's take a look at the final pass.
1.5 twist and do a punch front half. All of her landings were very controlled.
The body language for BYU is really at a season high right now.
It is, and you can just tell that they're really running with their energy, and that's great.
Here's Leah Lamont for Denver on the balance beam. Alessa Kai-Hart scored a 9.8 to open things for the Pioneers. Trailing BYU by a very slim margin.
A kick over front tuck. The dreaded full turn. You know, I hate to see girls wobble on a full turn only because wobbling on a full turn is kind of like missing an really easy layup on a breakaway, I think.
I was going to ask you, can you compare it to something in another sport? And you did. So what you're telling me is it's not the most difficult element, but it's certainly one you think about.
Exactly, and then you wobble on it and you're like, what was that, you know? But that was a solid routine right there.
Leah Lamont delivering for Denver. Tonight's meet management is brought to you by Les Olson Company, your business empowered. For BYU, well, it seems simple, but staying consistent has not been their strength this year.
Right. But really, they just need to have 5 good scores. I mean, even if they didn't hit that 49 mark on floor, they're still going to pull out their best score of the season. So they just need to keep doing what they're doing.
Here's Casey Gassaway. Season high and career high the same at 9.75.
Casey opens with a 2.5 twist.
Jordan Schultz scores a 9.65 on the floor for BYU, stepping in.
9.65 is a little bit low. BYU's going to want to drop that, but again, I'm still impressed with Jordan filling in for Haley Rollins. Second pass, front handspring, front layout, and so far, very clean routine for Casey. Does a switch side to a popa, which is a straddle jump with a full twist. A lot of the gymnastics skills are named after the very first person who ever competed them. The rules are now that it has to be competed on an international level in order to get that skill named after you. Last pass, punch front 1.5.
Let's take a closer look at the second pass from Gassaway.
So that front layout fulfills her front tumbling requirement.
Now to the last pass for Casey.
Please turn off the flash if you're taking pictures.
Lauren Frankham has an injury update for us on Haley Rollins. She went out very early during warm-ups from vault. Lauren, what'd you find out?
Yeah, BYU's trainer just told me that it's most likely torn ACL. And so Haley is a senior, so that's possibly a career-ending injury for her. Spencer?
Thanks, Lauren. Certainly disappointing news for Haley and for the BYU Cougars.
Yeah, that's really too bad. Haley is an anchor on this team, and last year she was out because of an Achilles injury. So I know she was really looking forward to being back this year.
Nearly a fall for Denver and Mariah Martin.
So that was a side summy. Round off 1.5. Really large hop there. And if Raquel Willman can pull out a good score here on the floor, that may have been the tiebreaker there.
Mariah Martin takes a big step on her dismount. The score is in on the floor from Casey Gassaway. She has a new career best with a 9.775.
Seen a lot of career bests tonight for the Cougars.
There's Megan Bain-Tidwell.
So here's a girl that loves to perform. I like watching Megan because you can just tell she really enjoys herself and uses the crowd. That's where she tore her Achilles last year at the University of Utah. It's amazing to see her out here competing it again. One and a half punch front layout, and great landing there.
Mariah Martin scores a 9.7 on beam.
final pass for Megan. Oh, and she does a punch front full front tuck. And I believe that is where she fell last weekend. So she just didn't quite have enough height and enough rotation there on that punch front full.
Disappointing finish to an otherwise very solid routine for Megan Bain-Tidwell. And here is a look at the final pass.
So you can see she lands, her feet are way out in front of her, and she just can't quite get up on that front tuck.
For the Pioneers, Jory Hall.
What kind of a deduction are we looking at right there, Megan?
5/10 for the fall, at least. And some judges may or may not give her credit for that pass, so it could be another few tenths. But again, BYU does have the opportunity to drop a score. So hopefully they can finish strong on floor.
So Jordan Schultz's score likely now will count for BYU on the floor. Interesting night for Megan Bain-Tidwell. Has a career best on the uneven bars with a 9.95, then falls on the beam. Good floor routine until the last fall at the end there. She scores a 9.1. So major deductions for the fall. Well, it's kind of a marathon when you look at it.
It is. And Denver's holding strong on beam. I mean, they've had a few wobbles here and there, but overall, they're having a great performance. Switch leap back tuck. Her leap acro combination. Gainer full off the side and a stuck landing.
Nina McGee with a clutch routine for the 18th ranked Denver Pioneers.
Next up on the floor, get loud, get crazy, Mackenzie Johnson.
Mackenzie Johnson now on the floor for the BYU Cougars. Solid performer in this event, 9.8 season high.
So we're looking for her to come back. Even though Megan Bain had a fall, they really need her to hit this routine. Opens with a double tuck, and beautiful. Front handspring, front 1.5.
Jory Hall with a 9.925 on beam for Denver. Huge score boost for the Pioneers.
Yeah, BYU is a little bit ahead at this point, but not much. So they are going to need to bring in some big scores as well here on floor. All right, final pass here. Round off 1.5, punch front layout. Beautifully stuck landing.
Mackenzie Johnson responds with a solid floor routine for BYU after a 9.925 from Nina McGee on the beam for Denver.
Exactly what they needed.
You see the final pass. Teammates anxiously watching on, and
Next competitor on beam for Denver,
Mackenzie Johnson may have a new season best. Julia Ross onto the balance beam for Denver. I noticed something as I was watching the floor routine. BYU as a team dancing along with the individual on the floor. You just see it so much that you begin to memorize everyone's routine.
Exactly, yeah. These girls are doing a lot of repetitions during the week, and this becomes second nature.
Mackenzie scores a 9-9, Megan.
Wow. So impressed. You know, Megan Bain actually fell. She was the first fall of their 3 consecutive falls last week. So I believe Mackenzie was up next, and I'm just glad to see that that didn't affect her, and she came out and could bring in a career high. Nice side aerial. Wolf jump. The girls have a minute 30 to complete a beam routine, and I don't know if you can hear it, but their little bell dings at 120 to tell them it's a warning, you know, 10 seconds to dismount.
Julia Ross embraced by her teammates.
She does a tuck full, nails the landing.
Elian Kulchik will follow Mackenzie Johnson, who just posted a 9-9 for the Cougars.
Very powerful on this event. If Elian could break into the beam lineup, she would be an excellent all-around gymnast. Wow, very high double pike, but still manages to control the landing. Elian is from Quebec, so her first language is French. Two and a half punch front. She comes really close to that out of bounds line. So it is a 10th deduction if you step out of bounds.
She looked to keep her feet inside the line. Just a sophomore is Kulchik.
Yeah, Kulchik and Mackenzie Johnson were huge contributors as freshmen, so they're going to be big players in the next 2 years for BYU.
Some extra steps right there.
So that was a punch front 1.5, but she couldn't quite control that landing. 2 or 3 steps out of that. That'll cost her some tenths.
Julia Ross scores a 9.75 for Denver on her beam routine. First pass for Elian Kulchik right here. Great start to begin.
So here's her second pass where she's very close to that out of bounds line. A little bit out of control there on that landing, but luckily she jumps to the corner instead of straight ahead and out of bounds.
And the final pass from Kulchik.
A little bit too much power there.
Here is Nina McGee on the balance beam.
Great amplitude on that leap. Switch side.
Elian Kulchik scores a 9.75 on floor for BYU.
Yeah, I think that last pass really hurt her score there, because up till then she looked fantastic. Back handspring back layout. Tiny little wobble there, which she covers up with a dance. Just the dismount left. Gainer layout full off the side and another stuck landing.
What a performance from Nina McGee, and you can see how excited she is about it. Denver trying to make a comeback in the final rotation and escape Provo with a win.
So as you can see, these landings can make you or break you when it's so close like this. And these guys are really pulling through there.
Raquel Willman-Hatch. Was trailing Mariah Martin by just the slimmest of margins as they entered the final rotation for the all-around.
So all she needs is a pretty decent routine, which she's very capable of. And she could win the all-around tonight. Opens with a double pike.
Why do some gymnasts prefer the 2-inch pad on certain passes?
You know, some gymnasts may feel a little bit uncomfortable with their pass at this time of this, or at this point in the season. But other girls, you know, you can see she has both ankles taped. That little extra pad kind of helps absorb some of that landing.
Solid second pass from Willman-Hatch. Nina McGee pulls in a 9.875 on her beam routine, and Denver, as advertised, very solid on the balance beam.
So one more pass here. She ends with a round-off whip, double full, and no problem.
Wow. Raquel Willman-Hatch making a serious case for the all-around title in this meet with Denver.
So here's her opening pass, round-off back handspring, double pike. No problem staying in bounds. Whip into double twist.
First up, competing in exhibition for Denver on the beam.
Judges now tabulating the final scores. Very close, I can tell you that much. Some exhibition routines now on the beam and floor. These scores will, of course, not count. Nonetheless, provide good experience and practice for some athletes kind of on the fringe of these events. And we've seen BYU in more than one situation tonight with Haley going down with what we're hearing is a torn ACL. Those exhibition performers stepped in and performed very nicely for BYU.
Exactly, and I can't imagine that the coaches are disappointed at all. I'm sure they're very happy with what their girls have done tonight.
BYU is going to have their highest score of the season as a team. We just don't know if it's going to be enough to beat the Denver Pioneers. Pioneers entering this meet in Provo, Utah. Also having competed in 3 different meets, finishing first in 2 of those and finishing second in a tri-meet with number 11 Boise State and BYU. The Cougars previously posted their season best in that tri-meet, but finished third against 2 very good teams. We're waiting to see what the final team tally will be tonight and if Raquel Willman-Hatch can win the all-around.
The exhibition, Maggie, she struggled with her flight series, back handspring back layout, but other than that, she had a pretty clean routine and finished with a round-off double twist.
Maggie Laughlin, the exhibition for Denver, sophomore out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Emily Vidmar fills the exhibition role on floor for BYU.
And again, Emily making her way into another lineup. She's only exhibition right now, but I mean, this is just showing us that she's just outside of that top 6.
Nice opening pass from Vidnar. '44th meeting all time between Denver and BYU. The Pioneers lead the series 24-19.
Front handspring 1.5. Again, coming a little bit close to that out of bounds, but she stays in. Final pass for Emily. 1.5 punch front layout. She squats really low there, but she does stay on her feet.
That wraps up the floor for BYU.
Very close meet.
Emily Vidmar, the 5'3" sophomore. Solid exhibition run on the floor. We're gathering results. Great finish there between Denver and BYU. Stick around for the final score. We welcome you officially to the Larry H. Miller post-meet recap. Larry H. Miller, driven by you. Final score, Denver wins by a 1/10 of a point, 196.525 to BYU's season best, 196.425. Outstanding score, season best for both teams.
You know, and the only comforting part of this is that wins and losses do not matter for gymnastics. I mean, of course, it would have been awesome to upset Denver since they are ranked so high, but this score is going to be key for the Cougars to improve their average score as of now, and then their RQS later on in the season.
Here's the Dexter and Dexter performance of the meet. Dexter Law is as passionate about shouldering people's burdens as it is about BYU. Dexter and Dexter helps you when you need it most. DexterLaw.com. It goes to Raquel Willman-Hatch on the uneven bars.
So career high for Raquel, scoring a 9.95, and she was just spectacular on this event, all the way up to the landing. And again, we saw how close it was, so this landing definitely made a difference for her. Great job.
Deserved high 10s for Raquel Willman-Hatch. Solid all-around performance from her as well. Looking at the beam scores for Denver, 49.2. Anchored by solid scores from Jory Hall, a 9.925, and Nina McGee with a 9.875.
In second place for the score, 9.875 from BYU, Eliana Kulchik.
BYU's floor scores. Megan Bain-Sidwell has her 9-1 thrown out. They score 48.925, not quite the 49 they wanted, we were talking about. But still a solid meet all around for BYU.
And great improvement from last week, so excellent night for the Cougars.
The all-around performers now. And Raquel Willman-Hatch wins the all-around. The score of 39.425. Highlighted by that 9.95 on the uneven bars we just showed you as our Dexter and Dexter performance of the meet. To give you an idea of both of these team scores, those are top 10 scores.
They are.
Top 10 gymnastic teams across the country are scoring above 196 on a consistent basis, and both of those teams tonight that's right up there with the 7th and 8th ranked teams in the country. So very solid performances from both Denver and BYU.
Exactly. Like I said, I don't think Brad's going to have anything to complain about. They did exactly what they've been doing in practice, and, it showed. So, congrats.
The opening meet for the BYU Cougars here as they come back to the Smith Fieldhouse, and they do not disappoint. More than 1,300 fans watching on. Chances are the relationships that changed your life started at BYU. BYU alumni connected for good, and it is time for your meat changer. That's an easy one, Raquel Willman-Hatch. How do you sum up that performance tonight, Megan?
She's so good on every event, and tonight she just put it all together. So I think that's no surprise that she can bring in these scores. She just had a great night.
39.425, her best all-around score. I've been saying best a lot tonight for both teams, especially for BYU. That is your BYU alumni meat changer. Congratulations to Raquel Willman-Hatch, the all-around victor.
University of Denver.
Yeah, big upset. I mean, Mariah Martin for Denver, she was 16th in the nation at NCAA Nationals last year. So
BYU coming off a 192 performance. What a way to respond on your home floor with a 196.425. Denver just sneaks out of here. They win by a 10th, 196.525 for the Pioneers. A lot of smiles for both teams. High fives exchanged. A memorable match for Brad Cattermole's squad. The final score tonight, again, Denver wins by a 10th, 196.525 to BYU's 196.425. To watch this meet again, go to BYUTVsports.com. Don't forget to tune in next Friday for an in-state gymnastics meet between BYU and Utah State. The Cougars looking to repay the favor to the Aggies. Coverage begins at 9 p.m. Eastern. For Lauren Frankham, our analyst Megan Donahue, and our entire fantastic, hardworking crew, I am Spencer Linton saying goodnight from Provo and the Smith Fieldhouse. You've just watched NCAA Gymnastics live on BYU TV. We'll see you next Friday.